A wise archaeologist once asked a very important question.
Why did it have to be snakes?
Honestly, I don't know. I don't make the rules. I didn't make the movie, but it's snakes. And here's my snake charmer of choice, Hapatra, the Vizier of Poisons. If you don't know what she does, she is a 2/2 human cleric for a black and a green, two color or two converted mana cost. That says whenever Hapatra, Vizier of Poisons deals combat damage to a player, you can put a -1/-1 counter on a target creature. And when you do put one or more -1/-1 counters on a creature, create a 1/1 green snake token with Death Touch. I absolutely adore this commander. I built this deck in paper several years ago, going through a lot of reserve list cards and stuff like that, because Magic the Gathering started off originally with -1/-1 counters kind of sprinkled here and there through several sets, especially back towards like the Mirage block and Visions and stuff like that. But nowadays, they're very reluctant to use them, and I don't know why. Hey, quit being cowards. Make them evergreen. At any rate, I love the ability to, shrink my opponent's stuff with the negative counters and actually make them work to just give us things. And this deck has a lot of good things going for it. So let's take a look and see what's going on here. First, I have my removal column. Instead of having protection in the deck, I have ways of just killing their stuff and trying to make the deck go before they ever get off the ground. So we have things like Bloodchief's Thirst, Bone Shards. Since we're in green, we have Terra Sunder, which is a nice little double up if you can kick it. Find Finality. This is, a good dual mode. If you need to get something back from the graveyard, you can bring it back, or you can nuke the board and put counters on your stuff to try to make something survive the wipeout. Lethal Sting. This is one of the things that you can put a counter on one of your creatures and then blow up one of theirs. So if a Patra is sitting there, you'll also get a snake out of it. We have Binding of the Old Gods. Helps us ramp, blows up something of theirs, and then it gives all of our stuff Death Touch until end of turn on the third chapter. And then we also have Massacre Girl. This is kind of like our board wipe, quote unquote, in the deck, because I'm not actually running actual board wipes in the deck. The idea is to spread around negative counters and then, if kind of stagger them out, and then Massacre Girl will just clean up the board and be done with it. When she enters battlefield, all creatures get -1/-1, and whenever one dies, each other creature then the Massacre Girl will get -1/-1 until end of turn. So it basically just cascades and chains and just nukes everything but her until at the end of the game. So then we have the main reason why I haven't played this deck on Arena yet is it just didn't want to work for me. And a lot of it was because there's not enough -1/-1 counter stuff in the game. But now that they've added all this proliferate stuff that they added in for Phyrexia All Obi-Wan, there's actually enough proliferate to actually make it work for us. So let's take a look at the proliferate package that I have here. We have Whispers of the Dross. You can -1/-1 something and proliferate. So as long as you have a counter on something, this can tear down a 3 toughness creature for 1 mana. That's pretty good. We also have Blight Belly Rat. When it dies, you get a proliferate trigger. Drown an Ichor, -4 and a proliferate trigger. So this can actually tear down a 5/5 if you have a counter on it. Tear down a 6/6 if you have a counter on it. Canker Bloom, it just proliferates, or you can use it as removal. Pollen Bright Druid, put a counter on creature or proliferate. That's the main function here. This gets stuff back and proliferates. Bloated Contaminator hits, proliferates. Courage and Crisis puts a counter on something and then it proliferates. Evo Sage, play a land, get counters going. And then Vraska Betrayal Sting, it's 0, gives us a proliferate, or you can use the removal function and turn something into a treasure if we need to get it out of our way. I really don't care about the poison function on this thing. It's mostly for the proliferate. And then we have our card draw in the deck. We have Deadly Dispute. We're going to have a bunch of little snakes running around and scarab tokens and stuff like that. So we're just going to sack those, draw some cards. Gix Yawgmoth Praetor, since we're making a bunch of little go wide stuff going here, he's really good because you can just hit them and draw the cards off of that. Toski, same thing, a bunch of little stuff going wide. We're going to hit and draw cards off of it. God Eternal Bontu, we're going to be making all these snakes. We can sack them to her and draw cards. And then Moldervine Reclamation, since stuff's going to be dying and counters are flying around and all this other stuff, this can net us a bunch of cards. And then we have our mana package. After looking at this, it's probably a little heavy, but we'll talk about that in the post. We got Arcane Signet, Cold Steel Heart, Mind Stone. I got Haro, Kodama of the West Tree, and Topiary Stomper to go fetch lands out of the deck. Heraldic Banner, Relic of Legends, Staff of Completion for the Proliferate, as well as the mana fixing, and then Solemn Simulacrum. Now, the cool part about the Kadama of the West tree is a -1/-1 counter still counts as being modified. So if you have to put negative counters on your stuff because it's required by whatever the creature's ETB is, or you just had nowhere else to stick the counter for the time being, so you put it on one of your guys, that creature is now modified. It has trample and can get you a land when they hit the opponent. And then we have our stuff that's all about the -1/-1 counters, basically. We have Festering Mummy. When it dies, put a counter on a creature. Exemplar enters. You put 3 negative counters on a creature you control, and whenever this thing attacks, you remove a counter from it and gain a life. So usually you want to put the counters on it and then attack with it and gain life. Baleful Amit. When it comes into play, put a counter on a creature. Sometimes it's itself, sometimes it's something else. Nest of Scarabs. Now this is the other key component card of the deck to work with Hapatra. For 2 and a black, you get an enchantment. Whenever 1 or more negative counters are put on a creature, that many black insect tokens are created. Unlike Hapatra, it's not one snake for 5 counters or whatever. It's however many negative counters are put on something, you get that many scarab tokens. So sometimes this can get really nutty, especially something like that Exemplar of Strength that puts 3 counters on something. You'll get 3 insect tokens off of that instead. We have Splendid Agony. Distribute 2 negative counters among 1 or 2 creatures. Usually you want to use this to spread counters around, especially if you have some Proliferate in your hand, because you're just like, okay, I'll put a counter here, and then you cast a Proliferate spell and start cranking the counters up. Because the more things you target, the more snakes you're going to get off of Hapatra, and the more things you can proliferate to get even more off of her later, and more things off of the Nest of Scarabs and that kind of stuff. We have Defiant Greatmaw. When it comes into play, put 2 counters on a target creature. If you put 1 or more on the Defiant Greatmaw, you can remove counters from another creature you control. So, like, if you've had to put counters on a creature to get, its ETB effect or whatever, but you want it bigger, you can use the Greatmaw, put the counters on this, and then you can start ripping counters off of your other stuff. We also have Obelisk Spider. For 1, a black and a green, you get a 1/4 spider with reach that says when it deals combat damage to a creature, you put a counter on that creature, and whenever 1 or more counters are put on a creature, each opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. So it doesn't matter how many counters you put on something, it's still going to be a 1-to-1 life loss trigger. But if you're putting them across the board on every creature all at once, that's a lot of little pings hitting your opponents, and they're going to die really quick. This is another really key important piece of this deck. Yawgmoth, Thran Physician, 2 black, 2/4 pro-human. Pay 1 life, sacrifice another creature. You get to put a counter on a creature and then draw a card. So this is a good way to start going, okay, there's a counter going over here, a counter going over here, and then you can set up your proliferates or other negative counter actions instead. And then it also has black, discard a card to proliferate. So it's got a little bit of a dual function for us. We have Crocodile of the Crossing. It's a 5/4 for 4 with haste. And when it enters, you put a negative counter on a creature you control. So it's a good, you slam it on the ground and you can just start taking chunks out of their life, and then you can just put a counter on something else that you have. Sometimes you have to put it on the crocodile itself, but that's not the most ideal thing to do with it. And then we have the best -1/- counter synergy in Arena for us right now, Carnifex Demon. It's a 6 casting 6/6 Phyrexian Demon with flying that when it comes in, it gets 2 counters on it. So it's got 2 counters. If you have a Hapatra out or if you have the Nest out, you're going to get your tokens off of it. And then you can pay a black and remove a counter from the demon to put a counter on all other creatures. So if there's 10 creatures on the board and you have a Hapatra around or you have the Nest around and you remove the Carnifex Demon, it's going to put 9 counters on those other creatures. Carnifex is the 10th. He already has his counters. But then you're going to get a bunch of snakes, a bunch of scarabs. You're going to get a bunch of triggers off of the Obelisk Spider. You're going to get a bunch of things going on. This card is really, really good. And if you want to use one of your creature tutors, which there's a couple in the deck that we're going to discuss in a little bit, it's one of the things you might want to go get. And then we have, this ties into the negative counter stuff, but it's a little sub package built into the deck. There's 2 cards here that work off of cycling or discarding cards that deal with the negative counters. First, we have Ruthless Sniper. For a black, you get a 1/2 that says whenever you cycle or discard a card, pay 1. If you do, put a counter on target creature. So we have some cycling cards. The channel cards for the channel lands, those will also count because you have to discard as part of the channel cost. Then you can pay an additional 1 to put a counter on something. And then we also have the Archfiend of Ifnir. This is the other big negative counter spreader in the deck besides that Carnifex demon. So what you got is a 5/4 flyer for 5 that whenever you cycle or discard a card, you put a negative counter on all other creatures, and it has cycling itself, but you don't want to cycle it. So you put it down and you start cycling spells, and it starts putting counters on all of your opponent's stuff. You channel a spell, does the same thing. If you have to discard at the end of a turn because you have too many cards in hand, same thing. Every card you discard, it's going to put a counter on all your opponent's stuff. It's just an all-around good thing. And then the package built around these guys, you have things like Stinging Shot, put 3 negative counters on a creature with flying, cycling 2. Descender's Deliverance, destroy an artifact, cycling. Wilt, destroy an artifact or enchantment, cycling. Wander in Death, return creatures from your graveyard to your hand, cycling. Migration Path, get lands, cycling. Corrosion Tusker, cycle, draw a card. Also go get your basic land and put it in your hand, so it's a good mana fixer and it gets you an extra card out of it. Void Beckoner, cycle, put a Death Touch counter on a creature, so sometimes you can kind of ambush your opponent's stuff. They think they have a clear shot at you or whatever, and you're like, I'll just let this thing die, cycle, and your thing is going to go with it. And then Godzilla Primeval Champion, it's a Titanoth Rex is what it is. And it's an 11/11 that you can just cycle, and it puts a trample counter on something. So, again, all these things you can cycle and discard out, and then the Archfiend or the Archer or the Sniper is just going to be like, boop, okay, well, you get a negative counter now, or all you're getting counters, and it just keeps things rolling along. And then this column is the good stuff column. I was what I would call it. It's just things that synergize really well with the deck. We have the Ozolith. Whenever a creature you control leaves the battlefield, if it had counters on it, put those counters on the Ozolith, and then at the beginning of combat on your turn, you can, if it has counters on it, you may move them all onto target creature. So here's a cool little trick. You get, say you have a creature that has 2 or 3 negative counters on it. It dies for whatever reason, whether you kill it, proliferated counters, or it dies in combat, whatever happens. Those negative counters will carry on to the Ozolith, and then during the combat step, you can actually move them onto your opponent's creatures and nuke something that way. Now, you're not going to get the counters back. They're not going to jump back to the Ozolith because only your creatures that actually put the counters on there. But as these creatures that have to put counters on our own stuff start to die, they can be stored on the Ozolith to just do a big burst of negative counters onto something and hit them. Or maybe you can say you want to save them up and then dump them onto the Carnifex demon. And as long as it doesn't kill the demon, you're going to have a good steady source of ways of just throwing negative counters on everything. We have Fauna Shaman. This is one of the tutors I had mentioned. 2/2 for 2. Pay a green, tap, discard a creature, search your library for a creature card. So if you say you don't need mana anymore, throw Topiary Stomper out, throw Kodama the West Reach, throw the Solemn Simulacrum, throw one of them into the Fauna Shaman and go get something that's going to help you win. We also have Throne of the God Pharaoh. Since we're going wide, I love throwing this thing into my go wide decks because as creatures don't die in combat, they're going to basically deal an additional damage at the end step with this on the board because they're going to be tapped. They can't. There's nothing your opponent can do about it. They're tapped and then they get blasted. We also have Gruesome Fate. Again, go wide strategy. We're making a bunch of snakes while all of a sudden you pay 3 mana and you just burn your opponent's face off for every creature that you control. And then we have Parallel Lives, which doubles up our snake count, which is really fun. And then we also have Renata Called to the Hunt. As our creatures enter the battlefield, they get a counter on them. So as we're making more of these snakes and making more of these things, they're going to get counters, and then the Proliferate actually works with those counters as well. It also helps us to negate the negative counters that we're going to be putting on our own creatures because they'll come into play with both a negative counter and a positive counter, and they cancel each other out. And then we have Golden Argosy for 4. You get a 3/6 that says when it attacks, exile each creature that crewed it this turn, and then return them to the battlefield at the end step. So say you want to burn all the stuff off of the Carnifex demon, but you still want to do more stuff. You can use Golden Argosy and reset the Carnifex demon, blink it out of the game, and it'll come back and it'll get the counters back. Or maybe you need to blink something out and reset it because it has the counters and you want to make them fall off. You can actually blink it out and then the counters will fall off of it. It's kind of a nice little reset button. And then we'll go ahead and slide this over to the last couple columns. This is just what I would call the finish them category. Your good Beastie Boy here, Craterhoof Behemoth. haste 5/5 when it enters. Creatures get +X equal to the number of creatures you control. We're going to have a bunch of snakes. Windmill slam this down on the board, and your opponents are just probably going to scoop because they're going to get run over by a bunch of big, fat snakes. And then Finale Devastation serves a similar purpose, where if you dump enough mana into it, you can give the creatures +X and haste as well. And then, the total jerk move is to go get the Craterhoof Behemoth with the Finale and then slam both, so then they both get huge, and you just win that way. Otherwise, you can do it for the smaller amounts to tutor up things that you may need to win in the process. Like maybe you just need to pay 5 and go get an Obelisk Spider so you can start plinking your opponents to death and gaining life. Or maybe you need Yawgmoth, pay 6, go get a Yawgmoth. Pay 8, go get a Carnifex Demon. You get the idea. It's whatever utility you need, you can go get it with the Finale. And then we have the base of the deck mana. We have some cycling lands in here. We have the channel lands, which also help with the Sniper and the Archfiend of Ifnir. So we have like Barren Moor cycles, Desert cycles. The deserts are also in here because of Ifnir Deadlands. You can pay 4 and tap and sack a desert to put 2 counters on a creature. So sometimes you just need to get some counters going. You can do that by sacrificing one of the desert lands in the deck, including itself. We have basic swamps. Takanuma's in here. Again, channel. You can go get stuff out of your graveyard that dies. Boseiju. Get rid of stuff that is just a complete and utter pain. Desert of the Indomitable is one of the other deserts that cycle for us. We have Hashtag Oasis in here. You can sack a desert to give something +3/+3. It's mostly here to be an extra desert for the Ifnir Deadlands to sacrifice, though, in this deck. Tranquil Thicket, Cycler, and then basically all of the black and green lands you could ever find. Just all the duels. Just grab them and throw them in here. Command Tower, Fabled Passage, Forsaken Crossroads, just ways to go get mana out of your deck with the passage, or just name a color, fix it. Carnage Bastion to proliferate those counters. And then Plaza of Heroes as color fix for Hapatra to protect Hapatra. Whatever you need to do with it, it's there for us to use. That's the deck. Let's get into the gameplay, and we'll talk about it in the post-game. Gishath. Uh-oh. Well, that could be a problem. This deck is better against little creatures than it is big ones, but we'll give it a whirl. Go tap land first. And we'll see where we go here. Could also be that they're just going to start trying to ramp in so I can get some of my lower to the ground stuff in before they can really get going. One of the advantages of Hapatra being so low to the ground is she can kind of get rolling before a lot of decks can. So let's go ahead and hit. We'll put the counter on Hapatra. It does shrink her, but then I get the snake. So, and that leaves me with Splendid Agony. So like if they play something here, I can hit it with the Agony. Like there's Ranging Raptors. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna hit it with that. Not gonna put counters anywhere else. I'm just gonna put 2 counters on it. That'll give me another snake. Let's go with. Let's go with Tusky. I think I want the damage. Oh, you don't want me getting snake? Darn. They'll get their basic land, but I'm not that concerned. I get 2 cards out of it. But the nice part is it was shrunk down so it couldn't kill anything that I swung in with. So, bonus. And then I think, depending on what they do here, we got some proliferate stuff going on. We could do Baleful Amit. I could put this on something. Binding the Old God, though, is going to kill that Kinjali. I do not like that card. So, do not make my stuff come into play tapped. That's irritating. So we're just going to go ahead and swing with this. We'll get a couple more cards. Alright, get a land drop at least. Binding, we'll probably go get one of our tap lands. They got a monstrous sword. Yeah, we'll just go ahead and take the hit. Alright, there's a fauna shaman. So let's go get our overgrown tomb, because, you know, why not? Let's play a forest. Let's do... Let's go ahead and swing with all that. Really? Okay. All right. Let's do the fauna shaman, because I can actually set that up with the Archfiend of Ifnir. And let's go ahead and do the Baleful Amit, because it has lifelink. I can put this on one of the snakes, and I'll basically get a snake in return that's untapped. So now I have a death-touching blocker. So yes, you can swing, but something's dying. Alright, they don't have a City's Blessing yet, but they only need one permanent to get there, I think? No, 2 permanents. They're eyeballing the Shaman and the Ammon. Okay, they didn't want me gaining the life. Okay. Fair enough. Alright, so everything has Death Touch this turn. Let's do... I just want to see what's in my yard. Just the Ammon. Let's do the Archfiend. Because then I can activate the Fauna Shaman, ditch the Void Beckoner. And then I'm going to put a negative counter on all their crap, and I'll get 3 snakes out of it. But then I can also go search for something that helps our cause. Let's see what I want. Being that we have the Archfiend set up, I kind of like... But they could just kill the discard engine, so that doesn't mean much. Let's get the Carnifex Demon. And then I'm actually going to go ahead and cast the Pollen Bright Druid, and I'm going to proliferate. Make sure it doesn't proliferate her. I don't want her dying. Alright, so that slows them down. We got plenty of snakes, so these guys can just go ahead and hit. That shrinks their crap down to manageable. And that also kept them off of Gishath this turn. Okay. Again, that kept them off of the Gishath. Okay. So... let's go ahead and activate the Fauna Shaman. Discard the Crocodile. It's not going to do us much good here. We'll shrink the dinosaurs down. Get some more snakes. Go get another thing. Let's go get... Let's go get the... Actually, let's go get the Canker Bloom. I want the ability to proliferate the counters. Because if I drop Carnifex now, it's going to put... and do the thing on it, it's going to actually be able to kill my own stuff. And I think I'd rather do this. Let's drop the Canker. And let's go ahead and do some swinging. Yeah, I think everybody in the pool except for Hapatra. Because I can just pop the Canker Bloom if I want it. Okay, let's go ahead and just go with this. I'm okay with that. And before the Fires of Invention can do anything to really screw with us, let's just get rid of it. Which is the secondary reason. I was thinking of the Proliferate, but the fires can get destroyed. That'll slow everything down too. And let's just go ahead and drop the Solemn while we have it. I don't want to use the Carnifex Demon just yet. Because again, we're trying to not kill all of our snakes because we're ahead of the game, so we don't need to worry about that. Because even if they top deck a land and slam Gishath here, I'm not that concerned. And actually, yeah, because they have the Seer can tap for mana, so a land plus Gishath, I really don't care. Okay, cool. That is the way the deck is supposed to work. Odric, okay. I forgot he was introduced in the Shadow set that was just put in the game. We have a Proliferate, we have a Wander in Death. This isn't like a god-awful hand, and I get Hapatra on 2. So that's not a bad thing. And now I have the Darkboard Pathway too, so I can actually do Hapatra into Gix. Or I can do Obelisk Spider as well. What is the flip mechanic on this? Coven. Okay. So you have to have things of varying toughness, or powers or toughnesses for Coven. I think it's powers. So let's do a black, because we have double black cards in hand. The thing is that now they can just block Hapatra, which is kind of a pain. Let's go ahead and do the Obelisk Spider. Not gonna attack. We will wait. Because then the spider can swing. And if they block, they get screwed by the negative counters working. Draw, you can have your... You can have it. I want the mana. Decline. Because I'm just gonna blow that thing sky high. Go away. Alright. So... let's just go ahead and... let's go swing at Teo. Because he's... yeah, we'll swing at Teo. Let's see if they have any reason not to block this. Excellent. I can kill both walls now. Alright, so let's do Drown and Iker. We'll kill the other wall. More snakes, more poisoning. I love it. Well, not poisoning. Since poison counters are now in the game. Alright, Odric's down. Basri Ket is down. Ooh, they got the special frame one. I never opened that pack, I don't think. Alright, 5 mana. Let's drop Gix. And let's move to combat. Swing, swing. Hey, Basri, have some snakes.
Can we not find common ground?
End turn. We'll wait on the cycling stuff. Because I could get the Archfiend of Ifnir. Gisela, okay. Got nothing here. Wander or Migration. I'm trying to figure out which one I want to get rid of.
I trust in your abilities.
Oh. Okay. Let's cycle the Migration path, because Wander and Death can get me things back that I want. Alright, so drop Forest. Let's go ahead and drop the Carnifex Demon in. Because the demon actually does good things for us. We're not going to attack. Because we'll lose our snakes next turn, but then we get a bunch more with the Carnifex Demon removing counters. And then I could just drop the Canker Bloom and proliferate and then nuke like their stuff into the ground. We're going to take a hit across the face, but their stuff is going to be dying really fast. The only bad part is all these +1/+1 counters are going to make it so that the negative counters don't stick. It's a problem. Okay, I was thinking the 3/3 was attacking. I'll just go ahead and take it. I'm not going to lose my Obelisk Spider. Not yet. Oh, baby. All right, I like that one. So let's do Stinging Shot. We're going to go ahead and hit Gishath with this. We're going to go ahead and... Let's see. All that crap has flying first... It all has first strike, so no attacking right now. Let's just go ahead and... No, I want the black mana left open. Canker Bloom. Alright, we're going to end the turn for right now. We're going to make it so I can Carnifex Demon twice this turn. Or actually Carnifex Proliferate. So they're going to target something. And what I'm going to do is in response, I'm going to activate the Carnifex Demon. Gishath will die. The target is lost. I get a buttload of snakes, and they lose a buttload of life from the Obelisk Spider. Resolve that. It's like, that's fun. Pass to attackers. I'm gonna go ahead and proliferate. And I'm actually gonna put a counter back on my Carnifex Demon. So I can remove the counter. My turn. And let's see, what does this do? Let's go ahead and just swing everything except for these two and him. Let's go face all of it. This might be lethal. Oh, they gotta settle the wreckage. Okay, well, we're just gonna do this. We're gonna go ahead and activate this. Hapatra will die, but the trigger's already on the stat, or will still already be there, so I'm still getting all the snakes. So I got 21, and they die. So either way, I had him over the barrel. Carnifex Demon's so stupid sometimes at this deck. Satoru. So this could be Ninja Tribal, or it could be they're playing Satoru because they actually buffed it for Alchemy Rebalance. We'll go ahead and keep this. This isn't a bad hand by any stretch. We could easily do turn 2 Hapatra into turn 3 Nest or Exemplar. So we'll go ahead and drop Hapatra down. I'm not too concerned about that Slither Blade. But being that they're running the Slither Blade, that tells me they're probably playing a Ninja Tribal, because they're just trying to get ways to punch the stuff through to get the ninjutsu triggers. Let's do Forest. Let's do Nest of Scarabs. Let's make them block with that Battlefly. Otherwise, I'm just gonna kill it. Do they have a bounce spell or draw? Things hung up just a smidge. They could have a Fading Hope. Oh, okay. Do they have... Are they gonna bounce the fly? Essence Flux. Okay. Don't see that very often. That's okay. There's Satoru. So I can't freely swing into that unless I get a removal spell. Oh, hey, speak of the which. Let's see, what do we do with this? Do I just do Croc of the Crossing? Put the counter on Hapatra and then swing with the Crocodile because that has haste? Or do I do the Exemplar? Because then I could do some options here. I think the play is Crocodile. Put the counter on Hapatra. Swing with the Croc. Because this actually kind of gums up the works. They can't give this Death Touch. They don't want to lose their Slither Blade, and they don't want to block with Satoru either. So they're going to take 5 here probably. Because then next turn what I can do is see they took the 5. I can Lethal Sting. If they have like a big monstrous thing coming off of Satoru, I'll take a hit, but then I can Lethal Sting whatever it is and put the counter onto the Croc, or I can put it on one of the little dinks that came off of the counter going on her. So it just depends. Okay. Does his activation get cheaper? It did. Crap. They went from 4 to 3 on his activation. I think he was a 2/4 before also. I have to look at the card to remember. It's one of the things I don't like about Alchemy. It's like, don't mess with existing cards. I mean, I don't know. Alright, so I'll take the hit from Nezahal, but then I'm just going to Lethal Sting it next turn. And I think I'll swing with the Snake and the Croc too. They got something open because they're eyeballing everything. Oh, they're gonna do a cut. Okay. Alright. That's fine. I don't care. Yeah, I think what we'll do is we'll Lethal Sting Nezahal. We'll put the counter on that. I'll get a replacement. It's like, you'll get your card. I don't care. And then I'm just going to swing with the Croc again. See, that they could have discarded the 3 cards to do the blink thing with that, but then they would have dumped like all their hand out. It's like, I was banking on them not caring about Nezahal there. Because there's a time and place for blinking that thing, and if you don't have a full grip of cards, that ain't it. They would have had to have discarded all but 1 card at that point, and that would have just been that probably would have really limited their options in the future, because then I could have just had another removal spell for it. Now they have another card they're going to ninjutsu here. I just don't know what it is. I'm just hoping it's not something nasty like a Ulamog or something, because if it's Ulamog, I'm screwed. Okay, it's what to say. It's fine. When it enters the battlefield, exile target card on a basic land from an opponent's graveyard. Okay. So they nuked my Lethal Sting. So the Sting is probably going to take out my Crocodile. And they'll probably put the counter on Satoru. If they get to, untap with it, that is. So I mean, they're searching through my stuff, and they'll get to look at my hand here in a second. Basically, they're just looking to see what's in my deck. That's all they're doing right now. All right. Come on. Okay, they're replaying the Slither Blade, and that's fine. So nothing artifacty, so I don't really need the Wilt. They don't have mana open, so Croc can free swing. I think that's the play, is free swing these two. Because the crocodile is going to die next turn. I'm almost certain, unless they have a really big just smash hit off of that Slither Blade, they're going to cast that Lethal Sting and kill the croc. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to Harrow on my turn. Sacrifice the... Yeah, sacrifice the forest. I'll go get a swamp and a forest. And then I'm actually going to... I'm going to play the Baleful Ammit. And I'm going to put the counter on the Scarab. And then I'm going to get a snake and a Scarab off of it. So that gives me another Death Touch blocker and Baleful Ammit. So unless they have something big to ninjutsu in, they're not going to be able to swing with Kodasei. Not safely, anyways. Now they could use the Sting to smash something like the Baleful Ammit, but they must have another thing to ninjutsu in, because they're just going for it. Okay, so they got a Metamorph. And that is the one that copies? Yes. So they can copy. Which is weird because it's a creature you control. So unless they're planning on doing Kodasei, which that's what they're doing, their options are not very good. Or that other than hitting me for 7. And I have the Wilt in hand to destroy the artifact version of that card. So I'm guessing they're probably just going to replay the Slither Blade. Yep. Alright, Command Tower. Well, might as well get rid of that. Unless they have some kind of counter magic. Or a hexproof granting spell of some sort. Get rid of the 7/7. We'll go ahead and swing with everything except for Hapatra and the... Actually, no. Yeah, we'll do that. Everything but that, because I'm going to play the Exemplar. So I'm going to get a replacement of 2 of the blockers anyways. I don't care. That takes care of one of their guys. Alright. So we're going to gain 4 life back. They're at 3. I'm going to play this, get 2 replacements back. We're just going to go ahead and put the counters on himself. Oh, I forgot Nessa Scarab. I haven't played this deck in so long, because I have a paper copy of this. That Nessa Scarabs is equal to the amount of counters, unlike Hapatra, which Hapatra is restricted to 1 trigger per counter dump, basically. just don't be like a 9 or a 10 hit. That's basically my only hope here. If it's Ulamog, I'm screwed. Oh, okay, it's just that guy. I'm not as scared there. So I must have whittled down the biggest stuff. I was just cringing. I'm like, oh god, here comes Ulamog. And I could still do it because you can still ninjutsu. The trigger is still there, and the Silver Fur Master can still ninjutsu itself back out. Yeah. There's Grazilax. I was like, they could have just been screwing with me here, or maybe they dug for an answer and got it. Alright. I don't think that's enough to survive. Could be wrong. Let's go. Alright, let's see what's... I just want to look at the battlefield real quick. I want to make sure... I'm sure they were dead, but I just want to look at the math here. So the Amit would have been blocked by something. And then probably the Exemplar would have been blocked by something, because I would on the attack, you get to remove a counter. So it removed it, would have become a 2/2. So that would have took care of those two, and then one of the 1/1s. So there would have been 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 damage coming through. So yeah, they were dead. Urza, Lord Protector. All right. I like this hand, but it is very top heavy. Okay, we drew the land, so Hapatra is going to get played, because then I can just do the Defiant Great Maw next turn. Or I can play Gix. I think it's going to be Gix. So I can hit, and I can just put the counter on the Gix. Alright. And we got another land, so hey. Alright, so Urza's up. Let's do... Let's go ahead and swing with the snake. We'll get a card out of it. Erosion Tusker. Let's do the Cold Steel Heart and set it to green because we have the Crater Hoof in hand. And then we'll sit and wait on the Wilt. If I see something like, yeah, something that's dangerous. Alright, we're gonna Wilt the Liberator. No instant speed shenanigans here. Alright, we got the land we needed. Let's drop the Carnifex Demon. Snake swinging. They'll probably block with the Sky Scanner. Oh, no. That's kind of surprising, to be honest. Board wipe? Which now that doesn't make any sense though, because unless they top decked it, they would have blocked with the Sky Scanner and not took the damage or let me have the card. Well, Liberator's the only thing in their graveyard, so that's worth mentioning. Let's do Temple of Malady. Scry and see what we got going on top. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'll keep the land on top. I'm gonna play the Moldervine Reclamation. And I'm gonna, you know what? Let's just go ahead and swing with all of that. And then go to blocks. I mean, they'll probably block with the Sky Scanner. on the Carnifex demon. I don't want to have to activate it right now. Okay. Next. It's fine. It's one less snake that I'm going to get out of it, but I'm not that concerned because I'd rather have the 2 cards coming off the snakes. And then at the end of their turn or whatever, I can go ahead and activate it and put a counter on everything, which would kill everything. Well, it'll kill the 2 snakes. It'll kill the construct because I'm going to, if they play an artifact, I'm going to play or do the activation in response. I'm going to do that in response. That gives me extra toys. So yeah, I was going to get, just real quick, I was going to get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 snake tokens. I was going to draw 2 cards. And then I would have been able to just keep churning those negative counters. And if I had any way to proliferate, it would have been great, just to keep on slamming on through. And actually, what I would have done is I would have had, next turn they would have been dead. Now that I look at what's going on here, because I actually have a forest in hand, so I could play the forest. I would have had the 8 snakes plus all the creatures I still have, and Craterhoof would have been coming down. It would have been +11/+11 and trample, and they would have took just a boatload of damage. Like, well, they wouldn't have been dead next turn because they did the Teferi's protection, but it didn't matter. Elas, il-Kor, Sadistic Pilgrim. All right, let's give this a whirl. Could go into 2, go into 3. If I draw a land, this is pretty good. If I don't, it's pretty bad. All right. Ask and ye shall receive, I guess. Duelist, you say? Alright. I don't know that I've ever seen Elas il-Kor come down with Jawbone Duelist in the deck before. Well. Let's try this again. This doesn't care about a Jawbone Duelist. Leave my spider alone. Kind of getting sick of all these decks where they're just like half removal. Alright, where's my wilt? You're not wilt. I think we're gonna go Mindstone Bloated Contaminator for now. I'm not gonna put it in here, but I just got done like just getting wrecked by a deck that was just basically all removal spells, so I'm a little tilted by seeing all this removal. Go ahead and get a swamp, and then like, what do I do with this? I think the play is do Harrow. We'll sack a forest, go get a forest. Actually, go get 2. 2 force. I have a swamp in my hand. And then play the nest. And then we'll pass. Problem is I'm getting poisoned so heavily by that Jawbone Duelist that I don't have much time to dig up an answer. Alright, we're gonna sack the Mind Stone. I need answers. Ask and ye shall receive 2 of them. That's great. My problem is I don't have another creature to sacrifice. Damn it. But I can do the Will and surprise the Duelist? Yeah, let's go ahead and do that. Let's put Yawgmoth down and pass. Because I can use the Wilt to kill the Ossification. And on top of that, no, that's not a human though, so Yogg doesn't stop that. But if they have a removal spell in hand, I can at least use that to bait. This will bait it out, and I can do the Wilt. All right, they're digging for answers. Because one more hit off that Jawbone, and I'm dead. All right, there's a Hive, which is fine. Hive I'm not concerned about. Not yet, anyways. What I need... Give me my thing back. Alright. So... We're not gonna attack. We're just gonna sit and wait. We have time for that, but not much. Now, if they're gonna try to shoot something, Yawgmoth's gonna start passing the counters around. Alright, so they're gonna draw a couple cards. That's a potent combination. Boots, huh? Oh, I don't care about Morbid Opportunist. It's the Duelist that's my freaking problem. I just need another creature to sacrifice because these 3 I don't want to sacrifice. Okay. Well, yeah, I guess we're just gonna... We can't... Oh, I don't even have enough mana to cast this stupid thing. I guess we're gonna cycle this, and I'll put the counters on Yawgmoth for now. There's a land. Yeah, we're gonna sacrifice Hapatra, I think. We got 1 white mana open though. That's a Lauren's thing if I ever saw one. And they would just let the Obelisk Spider hit him for 1 damage, so I can't do that either. I really need something to put a negative counter on something, but I don't want to sacrifice my stuff and get it just zipped out by a freaking hexproof spell or something of that variety. What I think I need to do is I think I'm hanging on to this for too long. I think I need to sacrifice the spider. Kill the Jawbone Duelist. Oh, okay. They're just digging around right now. Alright, there's wedding announcement. That could get stupidly ugly too. Oh, there's a temple. Let's see what we got going on. Not what I want. That's for sure. Hmm. Yeah, I'm almost certain I need to get rid of that Dockside Chef because they just keep drawing too many cards. Pay a life, sack a creature, hit that. I think I'm gonna sacrifice Hapatra. She can go back to the post. And that's fine. They'll get one card, but the chef's gonna get a counter. Ooh, Carnifex Demon is good though too. Let's just put Hapatra back out. And then I'm gonna Courage and Crisis. Put a counter on Hapatra and just go ahead and proliferate and get rid of that chef. Alright. And we're just gonna sit back. I mean, I could have done the discard a card, proliferate, but there's no point. I'd rather have the counter available for Hapatra. It at least makes her a decent blocker. What? Okay. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna, because this is where things get silly. So we're gonna go ahead and do this before the meat hook resolves. And I'll do it again. Alright, so that cuts down on how much life I'm going to lose from the Meat Hook Massacre itself. So instead of losing 3, I lose 1. But then I lost it doing that anyways, but that's fine. Shoot. What do I do with that? I guess just replay Hapatra? I mean, there's not much else I can do at this point. In hindsight, that yeah, it didn't matter. I was gonna lose the life anyways. Retadrovic, uh-oh. Oh, what the? Alright. I'll take the hit. Because I got some tricks up my sleeve this coming turn. Bad part is I cannot can't cycle through cards because I'll get shot by Shieldred. On itself. And then I probably could have put that on the Carnifex Demon. But that's okay. Pass turn. So now I have a few options with as much stuff as on this board right now. I can make a huge amount of snakes this coming turn. Alright, so we're going to activate the ability. I'm going to go ahead and just nuke everything. And then I'm going to do it again. Yes, this will kill Hapatra, but they will also kill all of their little stuff and give me more things than what they have blockers for. Oh, shoot, I forgot about that. The meat hook got me. Crap, I completely forgot. Oh, well, I'm going to leave this in here because that's freaking hilarious. That's what the deck is meant to do. You're supposed to just start chaining negative counters across everything. So what did you guys think? I love this deck in paper. There's a lot more negative counter synergies available to us in older sets that don't exist on Arena. So it's a lot more fun to play in paper than it is here, but I still had a lot of fun playing this. Now, I would change a few things in here. Golden Argosy didn't work out the way I wanted it to. I never really had a reason to play it. I think it's just a little too expensive for what it does for us here. And you always had something else you wanted to do. I also think there's way too many mana rocks in here and mana fixers and that kind of stuff. I think I would probably cut the Solemn Simulacrum. I'd probably cut the um, Relic of Legends, those kind of bigger mana rocks. I think I would cut them out of the deck. I would leave the mana extractors in because those work with Evolution Stage to do proliferates and that kind of stuff. But I would definitely probably take those out, and I might even kind of cut back on the whole cycling plan. Because if you don't draw the Archfiend or go tutor for it, you're not going to get very far. Probably need to actually add some more tutor action to the deck to go get those key pieces like the Archfiend, like the Carnifex Demon, and those kind of things. That said, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I will catch you in the next one.